Hey everyone, Monroe Mann here. Hi Sensei Adam, this is my Nunchaku Yellow Chevron midpoint exam. For those of you wondering why I'm wearing the Taekwondo gi, I don't think it's even called a gi in Taekwondo because it's Korean. I think a gi is Japanese, but those are technicalities. I started the Taekwondo program at GMAU as well, and basically when you get a chevron for a Nunchaku, you get a chevron for your shoulder. I don't know if it's the left or the right. I'll have to figure that out. But to figure out, I'd wear the uniform now, even though I don't even have a white belt in Taekwondo, because when I get the yellow chevron for the Nunchaku, it'll go on the shoulder. So this is my midpoint exam, and hoping I do well. So first I have to do the front switch from 5 different angles. So I'll start from here. Twice on each side, okay. Okay, the next is I have to do the front strike and around the neck from 5 different angles. So I'll do that from here. So front strike. Once, twice, once, and twice. Okay. Once, and missed it. Twice. Once. Try that again. I might keep hitting my shoulder. Slower, there we go. 1, 2, and then from this angle. 1, 2. Okay, and now I have to do it again, but with the left arm. Here we go. I was supposed to change angles there, but I'll do it now. Try that again. Okay. Next is combo number 5 from 3 different angles. Oh. And switch it. Okay, that's it once. The right. Twice. From this angle, back from the front on. Almost missed that there, and then up again. Switch, back again. Again. Okay, from this angle. Up, and again, and up. Great. I'm going to do the same thing, but with the left hand. Oh, jump the gun. outward figure 8, front strike, simple up. Okay, there we go. I know. We'll switch back. Okay, this angle. Up, and we'll bring it back. I feel self-conscious seeing myself in the camera here. Look forward to the next angle. And up. And then switch. Try that again. Ow! Good. Up, up, up. Okay, reset. Great, and the last section I need to do is the Blitz Kata twice from 2 different angles so I can get some feedback on that. That's the first time. I think I messed up a little bit towards the end, so I'm looking forward to the feedback on that. I'll try it again from a different angle. So there's my Blitzcatas. Certainly need some work, and I look forward to getting some feedback from you, Sensei Adam. Thank you.
Hey Monroe, how's it going? So, just went over your Yellow Chevron progress check. So I'm just going to go down my list and talk about some of the stuff. Just angled sideways. Bugs me. Alright. So the first thing, just based off of the things that you were saying in the beginning of your video, just going to answer a few questions that you might have. The Taekwondo gi is actually called a dobak. So this is a dobak. The next thing that you had mentioned was the Nunchaku chevrons. They go on the... This is my right shoulder, I know. If you look, GMAU is backwards. The loom does this, yeah. Alright, so the Nunchuck chevrons go on your right shoulder. If you decide to enroll in the bow staff course, those go on the left shoulder. And yep, that's it. Alright, and then you had mentioned in the little comments section before that you think that you need to have a little bit more of a 90-degree angle on your catching. So you're actually doing a really good job on the hand, which is what most people actually have the biggest problem on, is they kind of loosen up the hand and they do this. So you're doing a really good job of keeping the hand flexed. What your thing is you're having a little bit too much flexion at the elbow, like this. So if you just have that, try to have a 90-degree at the elbow, it'll make this part right here at a 90-degree, and you have this nice little square. All right, so 90 degrees, and then you had mentioned stances. I'll get to the stances later. All right, first thing, front switch. I don't have anything. I got a check mark. Your front switch is good. You didn't miss it any. It looked pretty fluid. Yeah. Next thing you showed me, so you actually combined two of the things. So I wanted to see the front strike and the around the neck part 1. The around the neck part 1, I'm going to drop this real quick, is always with a side strike. So if you hear me say around the neck part 1, it's going to be a side strike, unless you hear me say around the neck part 1, or front strike to around the neck part 1 is usually how I refer to it. And that will be what you demonstrated, was with that front strike. But I was still able to see most of the stuff, as long as you're able to actually catch it from the front strike. The front strike looked pretty good. Just make sure that you are aiming towards the face whenever you're doing this. I noticed that you were hitting your shoulder on one of those, and you hit it, I think, 2, maybe 3 times, and that was because of the angle that you were raising it up as. So if you look, so that's coming from around my back. If I'm raising it up and going straight at this angle here, boom, as it comes up on one side, it comes down on the other side, and it hits you in the back. So what you can do, there's 2 ways to get around this. The easier way is to raise it up first on this side and then come around. The little bit more difficult way is to go at that seatbelt angle, and then when you're here, flick it towards your neck, and that will allow it to clear it. But you need this little bit of a, like, it's hard to do it, but yeah, you have this sideways flicking motion as you raise up, sideways flick. And so that will be the other way. Again, that is a little bit more difficult. As you get better, it becomes pretty easy to consistently catch this through time. And front strike, turn your head. Yeah, boom. So I want you to, if you were wearing a belt, you can try to throw your belt whenever you're throwing that front strike. You don't do that as much in the forms or in the kata as you do whenever it's like an individual strike, and most of that's because, you know, whenever you decide to start hitting something, you're going to want to hit it with power instead of, you know, just kind of a little love tap. You know, you don't want to do that. So make sure you are practicing turning your hips, especially on your side strike and your front strike. And then make sure you're striking towards the face. So whenever you're doing this, strike towards the face, and it's pretty... You really don't have to actually move your hand too much more. You go here, and it's more of just an angle. If I'm pointing the chuck this way, I'm going to hit towards the face. If I'm pointing the chuck this way, I'm going to hit more towards the body. But I can hit towards the face or the body, pretty simple, just by a slight change of angle in the hand, rather than having to raise it up or down. Alright, that is all for that one. Combination number 5. So you did a good job on combination number 5. When you're doing these combinations, the majority of them are created to continuously flow. So you demonstrated it, and you did one side, and then you did angle, 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 and then you did the other side, angle, angle, angle. Alright, so whenever you're doing these, it's going to be, I want you to try it like this. So this is combination number 5, right? Boom, I switch to the other side, I go around the neck, boom, and I catch, and now I'm on the other side, and then I just continue the combination. So it's going to be one fluid on both sides is actually one combination for this. So I want you to try to work it that way, instead of mentally thinking of it as I'm starting off with the right hand, and I do the whole right hand sequence, and then I come back around, and then I change it back to the right hand. I don't want you to think of these combinations that way. I want you to think of it as both hands is one sequence. And one of the reasons for that is because if you practice it on, because you're going to practice it on the side that you like the most, right? And then you're going to have, like, you know, 75 repetitions on one side, and you're gonna have like 35 repetitions on your bad side. So if you practice it, if it's in your head as it's all one thing, I do the entire sequence. So that would be, you know, one side dominant, but then I just raise it right back up and I do the other side. Well, now all of this, that's one sequence of the combination. I did both sides evenly, and that's how I want you to think about it. You're just gonna get better training that way. But as far as the actual techniques go, the techniques look pretty good. Like, I really didn't see anything on that. And then Blitz Kata. I have a few things on Blitz Kata. So the very first thing is that side strike, and like I mentioned, I want that boom hip. I want you to turn that hip when you get that side strike going. And go here, boom. The next thing is on this part right here. You're kind of wide. You're turning the wrist a lot. I want you to keep this in tight. So with the outward figure eight strikes and the inward figure eight blocks here, we're going to make them as tight as possible. So instead of going here, you see how it's wider than my shoulders? I want them tight. I want it to be within my shoulders if I can. What that really does is it just adds speed without having to speed up. That makes sense, right? It adds speed without having to put more effort into it. So I can go at this pace nice and comfortably, and then I can go at this pace, but I'm putting a lot of effort into it, and I'm going to fatigue myself a lot faster. So the goal is to be able to use the same amount of energy my body is exerting, but because of mechanics, it's going to be more efficient. So I want to stay in tighter, so it just goes faster naturally without me having to work harder, because I'm actually pretty lazy, believe it or not. The next thing is flow, and this is your progress check, so I don't really expect great flow right now, but I do want you to work on flow. So whenever you're here, instead of going here, and then here and stopping, and then kind of here and stopping, and then all those kind of stopping points, I want you to try to keep it as flowing as possible. So I'm not putting a lot of power into it, but I am trying to just keep that flow going throughout the whole time without any real big pauses whenever I'm doing this. Stances, you had mentioned I wanted a little bit deeper on your horseback riding stance, or at least knees bent a little bit more. Because whenever I look at it, a horseback riding stance, I want to see the shin bones almost pointed upwards, like this. So it doesn't mean you have to really go too deep, but if they're angled, kind of pyramid-y, I want you to open them up and have them pointed almost upwards. So as you're looking here, you can see from my ankle, you probably can't see that well because of my pants, but it's pretty straight up in my shin bone as compared to here where the angle would be more inwards facing. So I want it more straight up. Forward stances, your forward stances can be deeper. I'm not really too picky about forward stances in the Nunchuck course because there's no walking stance. And in Taekwondo, you'll find that there's a walking stance and a forward stance, and there's a huge difference, and it matters a lot. In Taekwondo, it doesn't matter as much in Nunchucks. So if you have kind of a shallow forward stance like this, I'm not really opposed to that. It's not really a big deal. But I do want to see that horseback riding stance a little bit deeper. The next thing, this is going to be something that I am really picky about. This is probably one of the things I am the most picky about in Nunchuck forms, is I want the hands and the feet really synchronized. So most people, they do this whenever they're learning. They do a step, and then they do the technique. They do the step, and then they do the technique. I really want the hands and techniques working at the exact same time. So for our figure eight strike, it'll be this first part. So we have that first part, second part, third part is the catch. That first part lands at the same, can you see my foot? Yeah. First part lands at the same time as my foot. Same thing, front strike, boom. The chuck is pointed all the way to the front as my foot lands. Whether side strike, same thing. If I'm catching or whatever it is, so whenever you're, what is it? So we're here, we just did that second hour figure eight. I'm about to turn into that horseback riding stance. I raise up. I want to catch at the same time whenever I step back. Boom, I catch it on my shoulder as I land that horseback riding stance. I go one, go two, raise up, and then I step and I catch at the same time. And then I turn, and as this foot plants, that's when that outward figure eight comes. And then the next one is going to be the up together switch. So up, together, feet are together, I switch, and then I land on that next strike. Step through, and then another up, together, switch, land on that strike. Alright, so just kind of keep that in mind. I will be really picky about hands and feet synchronization. And in the Taekwondo course, same thing. Really picky about that. So, just so you know. My handwriting is awful. Okay, strike to the head. I mentioned that earlier. All the strikes in the katas are going to go to the head. So, out figure 8 strike, to the head. Front strike, to the head. Side strike, to the head. Throwing the chuck strike, to the head. That's not an actual thing. And then the last one is when you're in that or in the back stance. So after you came back around, boom, and you're doing this inward figure 8, right? I had noticed that your back knee was angled forward. I want you to just open that knee up. So the angles, if you look straight down from your knees should have an angle about 120 degrees. Your feet should have an angle of 90 degrees. So knees are about 120 degrees as you're looking down. Feet are 90 degrees. So just open that back knee up a little bit more. And that is all I have. All right. So you're doing a really good job. And I'm actually really happy to see somebody on their very first video that they send me using wooden chucks. That makes me really happy. I see all foam chucks all the time. And I tell people later on they have to use wooden chucks, but to see somebody start off, because I know you're hurting yourself with it. I know you're hitting your elbow, because I did it a lot. But again, you gain that respect for it. That you just don't get when you're hitting yourself with foam, and there's no repercussions. So I am happy to see that you are starting off with wooden chucks, and I think those might be a little heavy though. They look like they're probably pretty heavy chucks. You might want to get a slightly lighter pair, but yeah, all in all, you're doing a great job. If you ever have any questions, feel free to send me an email, and have a great day.